Okay, I'd like to call this regular city council work session of April 9th to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Hall,
Here?
Vice Mayor Klein,
Here.
Councilmember Hastings,
Here.
Councilmember Renly, excused, Councilmember Duffy,
Here.
Councilmember Winters, also excused,
Yeah.
and Councilmember Jett.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, could you all join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance? The Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome.
Oh, no. Playing the walk-up music.
I was waiting
Wondering if
for.
this is gonna happen.
So this is money, right?
I
Mayor?
like it. Start
Mayor?
every meeting with a.
Sorry, I think we.
Okay, Mayor Hall,
Sorry, we're fooling
What?
around.
we have a call to the public. I
Okay.
don't know if you want to do it at this point or
Yeah, let's do it at this
after.
point. Does he want to address something on the agenda here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
work session.
Well, let's
So,
do,
Mr. Diefendorf?
yeah, you want to do it now, sir?
I guess it doesn't matter.
Okay, go ahead.
Come on down.
You got the walk up song.
Yeah,
Well, this is a special meeting.
welcome.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I haven't done this before.
You can
Thank-
just identify yourself, sir, and where you live.
Okay,
You don't have to give the exact address, just,
okay.
okay?
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. My name's Michael Diefendorf. I have lived in Surprise since 2007. I currently, and the whole time I've resided in District 3,
Hmm,
in Councilman Duffy's district. And I just wanted to, throw in my 2 cents worth or $5 million worth of opinion. It's probably worth more like 2 cents. But as far as some of the ideas that I've saw thrown about or brought up in the last session, which I wish I was here for that. So anyway, I wasn't surprised that, a lot more money has come into the city, from all the, permits and everything.
right.
And of course, with inflation, driving the price up, that's more sales tax money. And I expect that, that's probably going to, continue. So my first reaction, when I heard about this was, well, all this extra money coming in, my first reaction is, well, how about rebating some of it back,
Mm,
Then I looked at then I saw some of the ideas that were being proposed for use of it, and I kind of changed my mind.
Mm.
And I think there's a lot of good ideas that, made me kind of change my mind.
Okay.
And I think if I were to add my voice to this, I would say for me, the first priority would probably be the roads.
mhm,
Number one, you have the city here. You have, people that, you have this people that'll use a pool. You'll have this people that'll use the micro transit. You'll have this people in this area that might use a new fire station.
mhm,
But everybody uses the roads.
mhm.
So I think that's a common denominator citywide. And
We agree.
good. And I'm not necessarily proposing that we use the whole thing for that.
Right.
There's other things that can be used, but I think that, I remember talk from last time, out of the 5 million, I think it'll probably end up coming a little higher than that. 1 to 2 or something like that, I think is reasonable, but I really would push and would encourage you to, do the most you can with roads. After that, I do agree that there is a good case to be made for, a good pool. We have the one aquatic center pool here, but it's, not the 50 meter or something that, I've heard talk about. And it would be nice to have a nice pool.
Right.
And another another item I think that we could probably look at would be, getting ahead on the fire station. So for so long, I think we've been playing a little bit of catch up on the fire stations, in past times. And it would be great if we could, get ahead a little bit. Then after that, then I think maybe we could look at some of the, some of the smaller parts of the, ideas that were thrown out. My memory's failing a little bit on every single item.
That's okay.
But, if we could make some inroads maybe on some of the microtransit maybe or something like that, then, that's something I think that's certainly doable. But I would like to add my, strongest voice for, the real infrastructure like the roads
Right.
and stuff
Right.
like that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? Thank you very much
Thanks
for
for
allowing me to
taking the
speak.
time to come down to City Hall and talk to
Oh,
us.
I plan to try and do it more often.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I did not hire him.
All righty. Is that it, Linda?
Yes,
Okay.
that's all, Mayor.
All right, so can you read the first item, please,
Oh,
in
yes,
the workshop?
supposed to do that, right? Presentation and discussion pertaining to FY 2023 Budget Department Overview, Public Works, Water Resource Management, and Community and Economic Development Departments.
All right, Mayor and
Welcome.
Council, good evening. How are you?
Doing great.
Andrea talked so much last time that she said, Eric, you can go ahead and do the intro this time. So I'm
Okay.
really excited for it, especially after our walk-up music. So once again, we're going to get through our FY23 Budget Department Overview, our second part. So this is just kind of a rehash from our last meeting here. So city adopts an annual budget, both operating and capital uses on an annual basis. So tonight you're going to see both our FY23 operating and capital requests for each of the departments we have listed. And then on May 3rd, we are preparing a 5-year capital plan discussion that will encompass all of our capital projects and strategies to fund those needs moving forward into the future. So tonight, here's the departments we're going to cover. I'm going to get to cover water resource management, and then we're going to get into our development services departments, one being community development and economic development, and then we're going to end up with our public works department. So let's talk water resource management. So you can see this is kind of an overview of the points of interest for the FY23 budget for our water resource management department. A reoccurring theme you're going to hear from us tonight is staff needs to maintain our current level of service and keep up with growth. So as you can see, the positions that are being requested this year out of our water resource management department is one business analyst that is both funded out of the water and sewer funds. We have 2 environmental technicians, one on the water side, one on the sewer side, and then a supervisor and operator for our SPA 3 facility. The second emphasis that we heard in our budget request is security. So one of the things you'll see tonight is Water Resource Management proposing improvements in line with some of the recommendations that they received out of the America Water Infrastructure Act risk assessments to further secure our water infrastructure, so that we are in a place where we are keeping that water secure in our time today. And then another emphasis that we have is enhancements to the city's water portfolio. So as the city continues to grow, that water portfolio that we have needs to keep pace with that. So you'll see on some of the next slides a couple emphasis to make sure that we continue to grow that water portfolio. Asset replacement is another big point of interest for a water department, along with our solar biosolids dryer, which I know you've heard year after year, one of my favorite projects. We're coming into the final phase of that one, and eventually Lee told me we'll get a cake and celebrate that project coming to an end. And then some lift station and juncture structure enhancements, and then just some inflationary increases on the water side. So you can see here, these are our operating requests in both the water operations fund and then the sewer operations fund. You can see those FTEs that we talked about there to meet their needs there. And then some of those operating increases. One thing to note, you are seeing an inflationary increase on the water side, but the sewer side continues to maintain those efficiencies, so we're not really seeing that same inflationary increase on the sewer fund.
Could I ask a question?
You sure can.
So Lee, what is a business analyst going to do for you? Could you tell us what, or Michael, whatever.
Mayor and council, I'm hoping Mike will elaborate on that for us because that's near and dear to him, and
Okay,
so
yeah,
he'll be able to give us great detail.
okay.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. So this business analyst is going to focus on the implementation of new software for our asset replacement program, along with helping to manage and implement some of the services that we're hoping to connect with in the community, specifically our Water Smart smart water meter system. So, and also this analyst will be helping on the financial side of it too, as we look forward to implementing a new rate cycle or a new rate study in the next 2 years or so.
I see.
So that's the primary focus.
So he'd analyze what do you call it when we don't get a rate on the water?
Non-revenue water?
Non-revenue water. Thank
Exactly.
you, Mike.
Working in partnership with Andrea and her team to figure out strategies to tighten that up.
Okay, because right now it's about 90%, right? Do we get 10% loss?
On the loss amount. And with our Water Smart, we're able to identify that more proactively as well. So I think that's the number we have about right now, and we're hoping to improve that or even figure out if that's the actual number. Because now that we have that new software, we'll have better analytics to determine
I
what
see.
that non-revenue is and where the leaks are and who has a leak. Updating meters.
Mhm.
We're part of the ads was the commercial side, the large meters as well. So that will also help be able to better identify.
Great. Well, you guys, I've told you this many times, and I'm sure you've heard it from the city manager and all the rest of the council, but you guys do a fantastic job. I mean, you really do. It's like, I used to have a broiler cook that was so good. All I'd do is just reach in and go, keep up the good work, and leave. That's kind of what it's like with you guys, So,
Yeah.
whatever you guys need. I mean, you've always been very economical about everything you do. So, thanks.
Awesome. So then continuing on, here's some of their top priorities and their capital requests. As you can see, asset replacement, like we talked about, is a big chunk of what they're requesting this year, as well as the utility rate update that Mike just spoke about here. So you can kind of see some of those, and if you have any questions about those in detail. One thing that we did want to make sure that we notated is all of the operating and capital requests are in line with our current rate study. Water resource management, finance continue to monitor that and make sure that every year these requests fall in line with that, and the health of the funds continue to be there. So,
Councilman Judd.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, Lee, can you tell us a little more about the SPA 1 plat capacity increase for the plant? That's a pretty big price tag on there.
So Mayor and council, what we're looking to do there, we found over the last 3 years of studying the plant that we have a great opportunity to take the existing infrastructure, make some modifications to it. Hopefully, if all goes well, see a 3 to 4 million gallon additional production we can handle with our existing infrastructure. But it will require some new blowers, a new blower building to kind of energize the process, and that is the price tag we're looking at.
What's our current capacity at SPA? And just to be clear, can you tell us where the SPA 1 facility is? Where it's
It's
located?
Special Planning Area 1, it's down on Cactus and Litchfield. I'm comfortable saying it's about 12 million gallons a day is our current capacity. So this would hopefully take us up to 16 million gallons a day. Even though it looks like a large number, it's actually much less than it would be if we added additional ditches.
I would say that's where, just because I think it's really interesting and I'm just a nerd and I like data and numbers on it, is the technology that has changed in the wastewater treatment process of it has been extremely, I think you saw the operational increases, continuing to be more efficient on how they treat the sewer and how to turn it to water has become the advancement in wastewater. You wouldn't think like, oh, that's technological advancement, but they've done such great things and amazing ways that you can clean more and different technology. We don't have to build an entire new wastewater treatment plant. We can change out some of the current existing technology, which is more efficient to replace certain things and gain more gallons per minute, or whatever it is, than having to build another facility. So continuing to rehab our current one is actually more efficient. New technology continues to get us further along than we would have with the old way we were doing things.
Exactly.
And so,
So yeah, it's like, it's just really cool.
well, Andrea's excited.
Yeah.
And so, will this bring us to full build out on that? Do you think that gets us to the capacity we need for build out in the area? Do you think we need more in the future?
The crystal ball, I'm wondering about, homes in general, we're seeing are using less water in their homes, more efficient fixtures, toilets, sinks, that type of thing. So, what, if you'd asked me that question 10 years ago, I'd say, no, we got a lot more we're going to need to build in the future, 10, 15, 20 years from now. But I think this will put us in a good holding spot probably for the next 10 years.
Okay.
Maybe if we continue seeing efficiencies, maybe longer. So I have a lot of optimism for it.
Is there more of the technology that can be switched out, or are we switching out all of it?
This is probably about the best we're going to get out of it before we have to add a
membranes
ditch.
or the-
Yeah, but that would be a much more expensive increase though. So this is probably the best avenue we've found for this next improvement.
And so, if we were building a new plant that had a 4 million gallon capacity, approximately what would that cost us? Ballpark.
56 to, well, actually with all the increases lately, probably more like 70 or 80 million.
I think the plant one, when it was originally built, cost about $75 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was in 2007.
Right.
2007, I think it was about
And I was thinking the last membrane plant, Spa 2, was 28
maybe
for
it was
2 million.
50.
So
So even if it's 50, it was 50 million in 2007 to build the current capacity that we have.
Very good.
yeah.
Much more efficient use of our money. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, real quick, Lee, on the on the solar biosolids dryer.
Yes.
So right now, what's the estimate of savings for transferring?
So our first year, we saw $86,000 saved on the first prototype with the 2 arrays. What I think all of you have seen and toured.
Yeah.
First full year of operation, 86,000 saved. And less trips to the dump if you want to look at a carbon footprint kind of thing too.
Right.
We're also still looking for future markets to perhaps sell that as dried fertilizer.
Right.
And so this next phase should take us to, it'll take care of our summer capacity, near summer capacity. Winter, we're waiting to see. So we're saying it's a final phase now. We'll go another year or two and stretch it further with more solar arrays and see if we need any more or not.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Lee.
No. See, reasons to celebrate with cake.
Cake.
You gotta make good jokes when you're in this. Holly's happy right now too.
Holly
you
said I
know?
had to, so I'm just making sure I do that. So continuing on, here's just finalizing up their capital requests that are coming out of or being funded with development impact fees. You can see there's 2 projects there in our water department that will be funded out of those funds.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'll move on to our development services departments. And first up, our community development department. So, like I said, you're going to hear this from us all night tonight. Once again, community development needs some staff to kind of keep up our current level of service and our growth. So as you can see, they're asking for construction inspection supervisor to kind of, this is an additional position to kind of help cover all of the inspectors and contracted inspectors that they currently have. Help lean out that supervision over the number of people, inspectors that we have. They're asking for 2 planners, 1 planner 1 and 1 senior planner to meet the current demand, and then a development review coordinator and a plan review admin tech to further help enhance our plan review process. Additionally, you're seeing requests for increase in contracted resources to keep up with development. So CD would like to see some additional funding for contracted building inspectors and our contracted plan reviews. These funds are vital to supplement, city staff so that we can keep up with development as it comes in. And it's a very efficient use of our money so that we're not adding, tons and tons of FTEs to kind of keep up with that. We can lean on these contracted inspectors and plan reviews to kind of do that.
Vice Mayor Klein.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you think, since this is an overview, do you think this will speed up either in the inspection process or the plan review process at all with this additional fun folks? Oh, wait, here comes Chris.
I think Chris or Bob probably want to talk about that.
I know we have a really good response rate now. That's not my point. Just with the additional staff, do you think that will give you any savings?
So the additional staff will allow us to hold serve. It won't help expedite, but it'll allow us to just maintain with the continued growth
Okay.
as it relates specifically to inspections and plan review.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
All righty, and then another point of interest is a little additional funding to make sure that we bring the city's general plan update to completion. I think we have a little request for additional money there in case we need it. And then finally, completion of the citywide redistricting study, no new funding this fiscal year. And then finally bringing the permit planning software upgrade project to completion this year as well. That's kind of the points of interest for our community development department. So as you can see here, all out of the general fund, here's those FTEs that we spoke about and those operational increases that you can see. And then their capital requests, the additional dollars for the general plan update, and then a process management software to help further enhance their system down there.
Hey, Councilman Judd.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a question on so it's $1.5 million for 5 FTE positions, and then the rest is going to contractors for plan review and building inspections. Is there more infrastructure that goes along with this, office space, things like that? How does the full 1.5 million get spent?
So the majority of it, we did as you may recall, we'd asked for capital last year to do a redesign. So we won't have to add office space per se. Every new employee comes with a package. If they're a field employee, then it comes with a vehicle. Contract inspectors provide their own vehicle. We don't provide a vehicle for them. But like, for instance, the building inspection supervisor, it would include a vehicle, it includes a computer. There's a kind of a standard package that all new employees get. I don't know the exact amount of that.
Oh, we do.
Well, that's great. Let's hear it.
So Eric pulled out his magic binder here, and so for the contract building inspection, we're putting $575,000 for that. The plan review funds is $350,000. So it's about $900,000 of that 1.5 that's going to contract inspection. And that's where we mentioned the efficiency of, we have to increase our FTE because the demand we're seeing. However, where we can plug in contractors where that long term, so when that growth starts coming back down, it's a contract, it's not an FTE. So that's where, doesn't mean we have to spend it. The way we're going, it will be spent on that growth process, but that's where those contract dollars are.
So at what point is it more cost effective to hire an FTE instead of a contractor?
So if you've noticed, we have added FTEs incrementally, and we've looked at that, and we just, we think this year it makes more sense to add another contract inspector and some additional plan review because I think it's, money's becoming a little bit more expensive. I think we want to see what impact that has on the overall development before we make the commitment to add another FTE. So, we look at that and we weigh it out. We just think at this point, contract gives us a little bit more flexibility, a little bit better opportunity to be nimble. For whatever reason, the pandemic was a good example. I mean, everybody thought all of a sudden, they were just going to turn the faucet off. So as it turns out, they turned the faucet on full speed. But it enabled us to be a little bit more nimble. We can call them up. Now, they're having the same staffing problems that everybody else on the planet is having right now, but it just gives us the ability to call them and go, hey, we're going to need this, or hey, we need to dial back. So, it just gives us a little bit better flexibility.
And so the building inspection supervisor, we're not hiring any more building inspectors. So we're creating a new role for supervisor, or what's?
So we're adding the additional contract money. We are adding another contract inspector. So there's still supervision that goes along with that contract inspector. There's still load management that has to take place. Every inspector is averaging somewhere around 24 inspections a day. That's 24 contacts with the public. Those contacts create phone calls. So right now we have one supervisor for 11 field employees. That's really at the high end of a scope. So if we're going to bring in another contract inspector, we need to break that up and give them shorter span of control.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right, Vice Mayor Klein.
Thank you, Mayor. Additionally, don't go anywhere, no. That also gives you an opportunity to check out the inspectors that you have on contract basis, having worked with contract employees myself. You can also decide, hey, I really think as things settle, because right now we're still doing this with our growth mode, but you can pick out the ones you might want to make an offer to at some point, having watched their abilities and their opportunities to do the right thing at the right time.
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And I also wanted to mention, in addition to the folks over here that Skip just wants to say, do a good job, your department does a great job. And every time I have ever had to work with you and your department, you've always been there for us. And I think we're very fortunate to have such groups of employees within our organization that are that good that we can always count on them to come through. So I wanted to thank you in the same way. Just do a good job, and we'll be back. But I thought that might be the reasoning when you're looking with contract employees. So thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of my team, we appreciate it. They work very hard and they do a great job. So.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. With that, I think you guys have heard enough from me. I'm going to turn it over to the big boss.
It's so hard to stay quiet. I didn't do a great job staying quiet, but now we're talking about ED. So economic development. So points of interest here, we have a new FT creation of a strategic planning and growth manager. So that's a new position. Initiative, a membership with the Connective. We also did some pilot programs in the past to do market studies and analysis and try to capture that data and trends. So we're formalizing that process, implementing that, putting that into place so we can get more resources to target certain areas, have more of that information. And then our continued investment in Civic Center campus. So here are those memberships, and here's those projects, that marketing and feasibility study. The Civic Center maintenance, overflow parking for special events, that is something else that we're funding for, where, the team can talk about it. I feel like it's trying to make it a little more formal area that we can have for all the events as we continue to bring more events in, more things that we have somewhere for parking. Do you have any? I know it's fun stuff. It's
Oh yeah, Councilman Judd, go ahead.
absolutely.
You're probably going to ask the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Why is economic development paying for parking?
Right. That's the same thing I was going to ask.
So we wore our Shark Tank outfits. So, Mayor and Council, thank you for the question. So we're happy to address that question. We identified an opportunity to really create more activation in the city center area, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit, Mike.
So my Mayor, Council, my single favorite presentation was the closure of Elm Street off of Litchfield, because the city engineer let me present on that, and she's going to let me present on overflow parking. So as we start to look at two things, the expansion of the university, but most notably, really the city's investment in festivals and really turning City Center into a community gathering place. One of the deficiency we've seen is really the ability to have major overflow parking. So we've been in communication with the university. As you know, they have a land option on that 20 acres, but it is city land. And so what we've talked to them about is actually putting that land into public production, which is allowing for that overflow parking. So we're estimating around 1,000+ stalls that can go on that land in an interim fashion for the next several years, which really provides a lot of near-term value, not only for the community, our partner at the university, but our ability to be flexible in programming at the city center.
But that doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, how is that economic?
Why am I up here?
development? Yeah, why, no, why is it economic development?
Why is it
Oh,
economic
oh yeah.
development?
So okay. So I guess that's a good
Yeah.
question. We're so enthusiastic. That's why.
That's why. So, well, the funding to just because the funding is still coming from the same general capital bucket of money. It's not that ED is paying for it.
Correct.
It's just a project
They
that
are,
they're
it's part of their budget. I mean, I don't understand, why isn't it part of
Sports and tourism?
sports and tourism,
Yeah. So,
public works? I mean, if we're building a parking lot, why does Janine have to do it?
I think there is a lot of respect that's given to the specific relationships from departments to the different partners. And so when we look at these challenges or these opportunities that we see, whether it's sports and tourism, economic development, our relationship is the closest with the university, and we communicated that, and we're glad to champion it. So we all are on the same team. We all have surprise on our shirt. Some of us more notably today. But that's why we're up here. But we're glad to.
But again, why isn't the
CIP
proper department paying for it? They can still champion it, but why is it going through their budget?
because it is a project that they're going to be the relationship, the conversations, the EDs doing
But
it. So
economic
there's-
development is about increasing economic
Yes.
development, right? Bringing businesses
Correct.
here. So
And having
how
parking.
tell me how this parking is going to bring me more businesses?
So right now, CIP will still manage this project. Sorry.
Well, no, I mean, the only thing I wanted to add, we are vested partners in City Center. So everything that's happening in City Center, we want to be a part of. So I'll start. And so whether or not, who's the lead, it really doesn't matter to us. We're excited to enhance the capacity of the property. And, I hope you're all aware. I mean, we're working on some initiatives to grow additional projects around Ottawa University, build additional workforce, build additional innovation centers here in the community. So this is property that we care about. So I think that's the answer, is that we care a lot about it. We're willing sponsors of the budget initiative.
So I just feel like we're doing some sort of end around here to make economic development pay for it instead of whoever's supposed to pay for it.
It was an economic development request in the budget, and it was a funded request.
Okay.
CIP will still manage it. It's coming from the same bucket of money. It was CIP. ED sees the value in it. It was a request by them. It was funded.
And we're talking about across the street from Ottawa?
Right. Well,
How-
to the south of Ottawa, approximately, or you know the right site. Sorry.
Yes, Mayor, Councilman Judd. So this would be south of Terra Buena and west of Civic Center. So the 20 acres that goes all the way to Greenway. We estimate that there's around 15 acres of usable property with about 5 acres of current retention on site. And so that we're looking right now to see how many overflow stalls that we can put on that site to create that capacity for, again, more city center parking.
And so it would be 15 acres of gravel parking?
It would be some type of temporary surface that we'd be looking at. So hopefully something that we don't have to maintain on a regular basis, but something that is still an interim in fashion where it's not permanent.
Okay. I still don't understand why economic development's paying for it, but I like the idea.
Yeah,
Well, and Mayor
yeah, I
and
like the
Council-
idea too.
I like more parking.
I think it was more they just said, hey, Mike, Ottawa likes you better, you go ask him.
Yeah.
Well, if I just want to add a little bit of color, so no, it's a great question. I think I'm going to predict that over the next 12 months, you're going to see us working on a lot of initiatives that candidly economic development has never worked on. And it's because strategically we're different. The volume and complexity of activity coming into the city is just different. We in the past probably weren't as invested in infrastructure projects. We probably weren't talking as aggressively about workforce initiatives. And so we'll probably be championing a lot of things that on the surface, we probably, as an economic development department, would not have talked about before. So I think, over the next 12 months, we'll probably talk about a lot of things, so strategically the market's changing. So we're trying to champion initiatives that we think are invested in institutions, invested in the best interests of existing companies in our market, because companies are growing in the market. We've opened the floodgates. The marketing initiatives have worked, and the entire West Valley is exploding with activity. So I think in the next, like, as I've mentioned, I think initiatives like parking, initiatives like broadband, initiatives that you would not traditionally have seen us work on a year ago, we are going to be fully vested in championing. So I think it's an appropriate question, and I think we're asking ourselves a lot of the same questions. Is this, suddenly we're worried about things that are just new things for us to
So
worry about?
if you get the grant, maybe let me help you out here a little bit, because I'm trying to work through this too. Because Councilman Judd, I think he's right on about where it's coming from, but I think what you're saying. If you get the grant that you've applied for, okay,
Yes, Mayor.
and the incubator is moved to City Center, it's gonna need parking.
Mayor, Council, that is correct. That is
Right?
correct.
And that ties into workforce development.
Correct.
But the
Mayor.
parking is gonna be time sensitive, it's gonna be daytime. So if there's any nighttime activities, the parking lot can be used, Kendra can use it for or whatever, right? So it's kind of a partnership in a way. Am I right in my thinking what you're?
Mayor, you're correct. Economic development, it's a cliche thing to say, but it's true. It's a team sport. So we need everybody in the city to be successful. We need activities on the site. We need activity to create more activity. And if we're successful with this amazing, unique grant opportunity, we'll be creating innovation and workforce and additional education resources with Ottawa and Westmec and Dysart, and we'll need more capacity. We'll likely see more development that wants to be next to it. So we'll need to be thinking about our utilization of the property.
Because one of the top questions of HR people who are coming with site selection
Yeah.
is, where do I get my help? Where
the
where
only
does the labor
question.
come from, right?
Mayor, you're correct.
And what kind of skills do they have, right?
You're correct, Mayor.
That's top line question.
Yeah.
And we just have to have better answers. We've got some answers, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We've got some good answers, but we need better answers in the future. And that's why Ottawa's adding an engineering program,
That is correct, Mayor.
right? We're gonna need more engineers. We just are.
Yeah.
With the TSMC and all the rest of it, all the ancillary suppliers, they're gonna need engineers. So we want Ottawa to be a player in delivering those, right?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah.
And we
That is
want Westmac to be a player in delivering the hourly wage people that have a certain specific skill set, right?
Right. Certifications.
And we want better partnership with Dysart so that they are partnering with Westmac and Ottawa,
That's correct, Mayor.
okay?
Yep, you're
Because the
exactly
kids are in the 6th grade right now. When they graduate from college, it's gonna be unbelievable here in Surprise, right?
right. Exactly.
And we want them to live here and work here.
Amen.
So, anyway, end of speech.
You said it best, Mayor. Thank you.
But anyway, yeah, Bob, do you want to say something?
Excuse me.
Yes, just to finish up, and Councilmember Judd, I completely understand your question. It is an outstanding question, because usually this wouldn't fit in economic development departments across the country.
Right.
So I think it was very appropriate. But I do want to tell you that over the years, organizations like ours have been criticized for being very silo organized. And we realize that as a team, we have some huge problems, and we need to do a lot of innovating. And so I think this is, in this case, Janine and her team, I think, are stepping up sort of outside of their traditional silo to help the organization as a whole. And we'll try to catch up sort of budgeting and accounting wise so that it makes sense.
Yeah.
But we probably will be bringing you in the months to come some things where we've got people maybe working outside their normal box in order for us to try to get something accomplished. But I think, and I think, Andrew, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in this case, we're not taking $1 from economic development's mission that they would have got, that this is an additional $500 put in their budget, that they are going to sort of facilitate that happening with the parking. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Okay.
All right. So now moving on to Public Works. Thank you, ED. You guys are awesome. All right. So for Public Works, we got lots of good stuff coming up on this slide. So, well, all the slides that are coming up. So again, staff needed to maintain that service and growth that Eric has mentioned, that we mentioned a lot. Public Works definitely covers a lot of different areas in the operations. Traffic and engineering, facilities maintenance. We continue to grow. We continue to add facilities. We need people to maintain those facilities, ensure that they're running properly. Fleets. We continue to add fire trucks, police cars, public works vehicles. All of that we need to ensure we have proper fleet staff. Streets, solid waste. Same story there. So roadway improvements we do have in the FY23 budget. 163rd Avenue, Cactus Road, Cotton Lane. I'll give you a little bit more details, and I know our Public Works team would talk about it. I'm sure Cactus Road might come up. Asset replacement, we have traffic signals. Pavement preservation, that increase that we talked about during that $5 million council discussion, and then inflationary increases. So here are all of the FTE and those operating increases that you're going to see in operations. One point to bring up is Public Works is still part, CD, we talk about the permits coming in, we talk about development, plan review. Public Works does have a part in that process. So what you're seeing on here is that the engineering side, especially for that growth, for that plan review process. So they're a part of that too. And those are those increases that you're seeing here is related to that growth and activity.
Councilman Hastings.
So you guessed it, Cactus Road.
All
That was one
right.
of my questions. I was wondering if Chris could come up and just kind of talk about what improvements are being planned.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could come back to this if there's more questions, but do we want to look at the capital or just talk about Cactus Road?
Whatever you guys want to do.
Okay, well, you can answer Cactus Road questions, and then we'll jump back. And then we do have a capital slide to go over all the different roads and details.
Right. So the roadways that you'll see this year are for design, so that we have proper budget when we want to go for the full construction. So Cactus is a design from Cotton over to Reams. So there's a lot of sections that are empty development that we've been waiting on development to come in. So as they come in different sections, it's kind of been hodgepodge. So we want to make sure that, a lot of the scallop streets. So we'd like to have a full design of the entire area. So one, we can either construct it later at once or know where we want to phase it, or at a minimum have proper design when these developers come in, kind of like a design concept report in a way to provide guidance so that we don't have various grade differences because they're only designing just to their existing. We want to have an overall design of the roadway so that they can tie in properly.
Okay. I think the preference would be us building it.
Yes.
And charging them back.
Yep.
Okay, because there's a whole bunch there's drainage issues.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
No, it 100% makes sense to do it all at one time.
Yeah, it really
Yeah, definitely.
And
And
they
this so again, for all of these, they're designed up front so that we have a better idea of what that overall construction cost is, because it is so complicated, not just with the drainage. We have big APS power lines, we have MWD in the area. So there's quite a bit of coordination that needs to happen.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I wouldn't go too far though. I think you can, I can.
Huh?
I'm good.
Okay,
Good?
so,
Jack? Okay.
good. Okay, so so Cactus Road, so we can talk about capital a little bit more. Do you guys want any questions? We can see some of the operating increases, supplies and services. We've got the microtransit program. There's another one of those conversations that we had with council back when we spent the ongoing operating costs.
Councilman Judd's got a question.
On Cactus Road?
I'm still on
You're
Cactus
still on
Road.
Cactus Road?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's no point bouncing around.
All right, we'll just talk about capital.
Yeah.
All right, so none of these are for the build out. These are just for designs. And so we've got 4.4 million for the half mile from Litchfield to BNSF.
I'm sorry, so it's the 163rd Avenues are design, and Sweetwater is completion construction, because that's under,
And I thought we budgeted for that last year.
we did, so that's the remaining portion of it to carry it out
We did
for next.
3.5 million
next
last year, and we're doing another cost of living
Point.
increase.
I mean,
Okay.
yes. And then the Cotton Lane is a design concept report, so that's a little bit less than an actual full design, and that one is more geared towards providing the direction towards developers, because we're having a lot of development coming in right now. And then we have the Cactus Litchfield Road to BNSF is also design. Actually, that's construction as well. on that one.
There's a great big company going in on that parcel. Why aren't
Mhm.
they paying for it?
Carvana is coming in on the northeast side, but the BNSF Railroad crossing is a regional crossing that would normally fall under our responsibility. There was a roadway project for Litchfield a while back, and a portion of that was phased out because of the complicated nature of crossing the BNSF railway. So this is the second phase of that project.
So the 4.4, is that to actually, so is that to do the whole road, or is that just to do the interchange?
This is for the intersection, and then a little bit out to tie back in. So Carvana will still
The
be
intersection of,
of the railroad and Cactus, basically.
okay.
And then Carvana will be doing their half street adjacent to their
So they'll do the half mile.
property to a certain portion that they'll be designing it, and then we'll be tying into it.
Okay, but again, that's the cost, that's not just the design.
That's the cost with the design as well.
With the design. And then, so the rest of Cactus, that was just design, the stuff
The
from
rest of
Cotton to
Cactus,
Reeves?
yeah, the rest of Cactus like is cotton to ream, so that's only design.
That's only design?
Correct.
Wow.
1.7.
But again, that one's a pretty long stretch of roadway, and the complications of the coordination with the MWD and APS, and if there's any, additional right-of-way review and utility reviews.
And when we go through that part of it, that's when we determine if we're able to lien the landowner and possibly get paid back?
Any of the landowners adjacent are ones that we would look at towards leaning. Maybe not the Prasada areas,
Not the
because
north
that's one
side.
that is part of a reimbursement agreement anyways, that we would be
Barring
reimbursing.
any development agreements in certain areas.
Right.
Right, but all the others would, yes.
And is the list in order of priorities, or is it alphabetical, or what is it?
So to jump in there, because we tweaked it, this is all funds. So this is not order of priority, but this is all done next year. So this is all the FY23. So they're all priority one, if you will. I think a lot of it is probably just timing of some of these are partially started, so they're finishing them, or they got to get beginning, or they're in the middle. So it's more probably a timing issue on how it's getting spent than necessarily priority, because they're all funded in essence priority one. The other part of this, we mentioned that's all funds in public works. These are, so that 34 million that's on the other page, that's how the roads are getting funded. There's multiple funding sources, which makes it kind of hard to show it by fund and project. So those are all the projects. You can see that's a pretty big number, and then that's how they're getting funded. And they're all different breakdowns depending on growth, depending on, is it new? Is it a portion of enterprise might be in there as well. HERF has some in there, special revenue, transportation. So it's a lot of different areas that fund it.
And you have a whole 56,000 in development impact fees.
I know it's important to put that in there,
Yeah.
so we can really capture that. We got to have a foot, so you got to put it in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilman Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think it's a secret how I feel about Cactus Road, but I'm glad everybody else is talking about it. When that design, is it gonna look into like the intersections, like the Cereval Cactus
Yes.
area? And then the Cotton
Yes.
Cactus? And then the Cotton design report, Cotton Lane from where to where are you?
So this is from Greenway to Cactus. So the Peoria to Cactus along Cotton, we have development coming in on all of those sides right now.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
So yeah, so we're working on north. You've seen a lot of developments coming in at different points in time, and what we want to make sure, because there's a lot of drainage issues along there, that as these developments are coming in, we have an overall design that shows how the road is grading, so we don't find ourselves bucking grade in the middle somewhere.
How long, like the Cactus Road design, how long do you think that would take? Because in my opinion, you're on a race against Versada. Because the way Josh is leasing all that up and as fast as that's building out, that could be a huge issue
Right.
once all that stuff opens.
Right. And so once we commence design on this, we'll be coordinating with these groups very closely as we move through to make sure that it's tying in properly with them. But we expect to have this design pretty early on in the year, so this would be one that we would kick off right away. For multiple reasons, for the development, the timing of the development that's coming in, but also just so that we have a better idea of budget as we move into the next year.
Okay, and then one more. The 175th and Waddell well relocation, I thought we earmarked money for that already.
That one, I believe that was an if we move forward with the MWD,
Or the land, right?
the
We're
land
talking about the
for it.
land
So
for
we
the-
had gone to MWD to purchase the land for the well, but that hasn't gone through yet. So that's marked for that.
Correct. And at this point, we haven't tied any budget authority for that purchase yet.
Right.
So this is for the land because they said, yeah, you can move it, but I want another well somewhere else.
Mhm.
That's what this 3 million is for, because I think we
On
put
which-
two.
There's two
Oh.
different MWD sites. So there's one that's a bond
Yeah, I was like,
project that's for the police, fire, and park
Yeah.
feature. Mhm.
Mayor, Councilmember Duffy, your memory is spot on. So you did allocate $2 million for us to make an offer to MWD. Because the road project, isn't imminent, they've been very, let's wait till you need to purchase this before we move forward. And so it's just kind of sat there. In the meantime, we've had a couple of budget cycles that have gone through, so it's no longer allocated. So we just need to reallocate it, and we're actually in our discussions with MWD, we're close to them saying we're ready to accept your offer. I think it's we might be able to still get it for the amount we want, but we're making sure we have the money to complete that deal when it comes through. We have
So
another.
you snuck an IOU on us.
But the money was never spent. But yes, you allocated money, and then since then a couple of cycles have happened. We just need to reallocate that same money for that
Okay.
same project.
All right, makes sense.
The
Thank
number
you.
keeps getting bigger though, huh, Patrick?
Well, I was gonna say, if there's two and then there's three, holy cow.
So we won't spend any money that we don't have to. And in our discussions with them recently, because we have an offer that they have verbally accepted, and we're going through the process of making it happen now. They understand where we're at. The cost of installing a new well is significantly higher than $2 million, and
Oh,
so
I don't even wanna
2
know
million
yet.
would be we think it could work, and they think that they understand why we're offering that. It might come to fruition. However, it's uncertain until it's actually done.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and just to add, if there's some miracle that the design happens super fast and everything is moving in the right direction and it's not in the 23 budget, we will bring forth a budget amendment to make sure that's expedited. So it's not something that we'll just sit and wait for it to happen. We'll make sure it happens. It's just when that time comes, we don't believe it will come, but if it does, we will be flexible with the budget and we'll expedite that. But at this point, we don't believe it'll happen in.
Could you do me a favor for us?
Absolutely.
Like this capital thing here? Top
Yes.
priorities. Could you come up with a key and put DO or construction, like
Oh,
design
like what
only?
phase it's going into?
Yeah, label what 2.6 or 5.5 million does for us.
Okay,
And
and
that's not a good example, but I'm talking
No,
about.
yeah, yep, nope, understood. Like
Because
what
we
is the
we'll
design, what's the
forget.
cost?
And
So what we do, what we can do, as you're aware, the next council meeting on 5/3, we're gonna have a capital conversation,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be providing you with those capital lists. So in those capital lists, we'll ensure that it's broken out by
okay,
design and then total cost. guessing, you guys, do you have interest of seeing it by which fiscal year it's going to be built in or just by total cost? Because that's where sometimes it's, do you want the total project or do you want to know what year it's built in? So when we budget and it's going to take a 3-year, say it's a large project, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to build. We'll have what we think or expect in each of those fiscal years.
I think we want both.
Okay.
I really do. Yeah.
Okay, we can make that happen, and then we'll add something in there that kind of helps demonstrate what is the design portion, construction, and then what year that will each happen in.
Yeah. I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
All right. Vice Mayor Klein.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is probably detailed somewhere else down the road, so. On the traffic signals where it says new traffic signals, how many is that? I'm not going to ask you where they are, I'm just going to ask how many.
That gets us around 4.
Okay. And then the Bell Road landscape and street improvement, because you thought I was going to ask you about that, didn't you? I saw in your face, you thought I was going to ask you that because we talked about that. I'm sure we're going to have more detail on that.
We'll have more detail. We'll be coming to you with a work session soon to give you an overview of where we are on the Bell Road landscape and street lighting project, and to ask for direction on what you guys want to see as far as the design goes. So right now it's in the tail end of design. This is to complete and add some street lighting in as well. But before we go too much further in the design, that's where we want to bring it back to you guys and seek feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last question I have is actually about Cotton Lane, because I know it's in concept. So do we have access to the outside of Cotton Lane? Because right now it's kind of like this lane, and it's not like really big.
Oh,
Is
the
that
right of way?
The right of ways?
I believe we have a majority of the right of way along that stretch.
Okay. Because that would be one of those things.
Some
like,
of some
we can
of it
do
along
this
the
except for this
SLR
guy who's
property, I
holding
don't
us up
believe
over
that
here.
we might have, but yeah, we have a majority of it.
Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you very much.
You know, the lighting, the landscaping we've been talking about for since 2010. Seriously.
Exactly.
That's how long we've been talking about it.
Yes.
Changing out the landscaping, taking grass out and putting xeriscape in, so we're not watering the pavement, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
that's good. We're gonna get that program going, right?
Right. Yes. I think the biggest issue just with that program is the price tag that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So
I
when you
know.
see in that capital
I know.
list, the total cost to do all of that, I think has just been our biggest hurdle of why we continue to just say, well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. It's definitely a commitment to that long
Well,
stretch.
even if you break
It's-
out multiple years on the process
Yeah.
that says, we're going to do
We don't wanna
this,
do the whole
and then
thing.
we're going to do this, just like you were talking
Just
about on
phase
other
it.
projects, just
Right.
how-
But
what
it's still-
phases we're going to be in it for which
Correct.
price
It's-
amount.
Yeah.
Yes, we can still phase it in,
But
but
the
we
other
still
thing
need
on
that in
on the
total.
lighting,
Yes. I think the lighting is driving.
here's the thing, the
Driving
lighting might be a little bit lacking in lumens, okay?
You talking about the lighting we have now?
Yeah, the lighting we
It's
have
slightly
now.
outdated.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing, I love the feel of the lights.
So
It's
that
a,
might
it's
be
a
something-
signature of
yeah,
surprise.
Definitely. So that might be something, that it is something that we want feedback. Are we going to look at the standard APS lights?
See,
Do we
those are
want
ugly.
something that's in the middle
me,
of that?
They really
Yeah.
are. I mean, I like our light stanchions, if we can increase
Maybe we
the
could move
lumens.
them to somewhere else, like Civic Center. And they could all be in our lovely Civic Center area with people.
Well, when you come in to Surprise from the west, you come up over that hill and those lights, that's part of Surprise to me. It really is, but whatever.
But yes, that is going to be a great conversation on that work session item.
We just increase the lumens. Right?
This is going to be fun. I'm going to sit back and watch.
Armando Lopez will be giving.
Okay. All right. What else? What else about Cactus Road?
Get it done.
Okay.
Next week? You could.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yep. I think actually Monday.
I can draw you a design real quick if you want me to.
So Cactus and 303, just so we're clear, Cactus and 303, the Baker development,
Okay.
they've said that they're going to be open by end of 2022.
Okay.
Okay, well, think about the traffic that's gonna create.
Yeah.
And Cactus Road is still Cactus Road.
Cactus Circle is scary.
It just, it really is. I mean, it's
What
just,
happens if it rains?
oh, I know. It's,
No,
anyway.
those 2 days are scary.
Doesn't matter. 2 days
I'm
too many.
just kidding. No, I agree. I just no, but it is
Funny,
important.
Andrea.
We have heard you. It's on here. Public Works. It's being funded. We're starting the
We're excited.
process. We realize it probably should have been designed previously, but we are here. It's getting designed. It is going to happen.
Cool.
Any
Okay.
other capital questions?
Oh no.
Are we doing all this again next week or in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Is it the same conversation when we do the
Uh,
capital
what-
request? Bob's saying no.
More detail.
No.
Not this list?
This is correct. This is the FY23 already funded list. So what you're going to see next week is we'll probably have that line of the FY23 funded, but you're going to see all the projects going forward, and I'll let Bob talk. So it's more of those future 24 through 29.
Yes, and so, Mayor and Council, the next meeting, we're going to bring a big inventory of the capital needs. And I think as we talked in total, if we use the money that we currently have set aside for capital, which is in addition to what you see here, and if we are successful with a bond, we will have a universe of about $180 million that we can spend. And we're going to look for you to prioritize the projects on there. And so as an example, will the full build out of Cactus be on that list?
Correct. So some of those, obviously this item is funded in 23. However, you're going to see that in future years. So that will be part of the big picture that you see. And then we'll present it in a way that you can differentiate those that have been funded through FY23, but we continue to carry through, and then in excess of that amount.
And then give us a comparison timeline of what it took for Greenway and Waddell.
Yes, we're going to include, I believe, we had talked about, we're having a Public Works presentation tonight or next week? The roadway. No,
Tonight.
that's not in the roadway. No, yes. So in that capital meeting, we're going to do a visual of the time frame. I think we want to do a visual on roads, a park, a facility, a road. What does it take? Where's the design? Where's the procurement? Where's kind of like some visual just to get an idea of why does it take so long? What is the process? There's a lot of rules we have to follow. So we're going to have a couple examples of, I think, your standard typical average road. How long does that take? Why does it take that long? What are the different steps along the way? Just to have a better understanding of what phase are we in, where are we at, what does that look like?
We'll also have we'll have all the projects that we've been discussing. Now, one of the things that, Mayor, you asked us to do with the list is to break it out into a couple. What we're going to try to do either late this week or early next week is to give you an initial list. But that won't be broken down. We just want to give you a list of all the projects because we're going to want you to take a quick look at that list and let us know if there's anything missing, something that you're looking for, but for some reason we didn't put it on the list, so that we'll go back, add the ones that you've pointed out to us, and get those back in your hands, because the worst thing would be for us to come in May with an incomplete list.
Yeah.
So the first list that you're going to get is just going to be a list of the projects with their estimated cost, broken out sort of in major areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But those are projects that will be funding over and above what you're seeing this evening. But for instance, Cactus Road, we still have to make more investment that would come out of that $180 million.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one more question.
All right.
Who usually pays for parking lots?
Depends on who requests them. So in serious note, our general capital fund is typically where we do we do some of our projects from. So We have a transportation improvement fund that gets a portion of the construction sales tax. So a portion of the construction sales tax goes into that fund, which is dedicated to pay for roads. That was the idea, the concept, to try to have some dedicated money. So most of the roads, we try to come out of transportation. However, our needs have now become greater than the revenue that goes into that fund. So globally, we're going to look at, okay, going forward, what's the life of the transportation improvement fund look like? Because at this point, it doesn't bring in enough revenue on its own. So we have transportation improvement funding, and then we also have our general capital. So our general capital is where the rest of the construction sales tax goes, and we build our fire stations, police stations, kind of our general government type projects. So a parking lot, depending on the parking lot, is there a road? Is it that? It's most likely coming up our general capital money. So depending on the building it's going on, so a parking lot's attached to every fire station. A parking lot's coming out of PD. So those departments are paying for parking lots as part of their facility they're building. So it goes to the department that is, I guess, the subject matter using it. And kind of like what Janine was saying is really it's a tourism, it's a parks, it's a Ottawa, it is a lot of different things to try to maximize some of those workforce developments and future stuff. So it's really a multi, faceted parking lot that we're going to use it for. So, and that was one of their ideas that they brought up. Hey, let's have a parking lot. So they pushed it. They're owning it. It's in their department. CIP still runs all of these projects. So regardless of what department it's tagged to, it is a bucket of money that we say, you get this, you get this, you get this. So it could be an ED, it could be somewhere else. Typically, roads, stuff like that, it goes into our public works CIP bucket. But parking lots, facilities typically fall under the department that is the one that wants it. For, kind of just high overview. It's still coming from the same bucket of money. It's not taking anything away from ED that it might get instead. It's, hey, we need this, it's important. You guys are going to be kind of the project manager, communicator, making sure it goes well. But CIP will be managing it just like any other project or process.
Okay. So the answer is Public Works?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I want some background. It's a big deal. I want to make sure you fully understand what's all going on.
But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so so not talked about kind of where it's coming from, different. So we'll see if we can go back to operations. I don't know if you guys remember, we didn't talk about this, but maybe you don't want to anymore. It's good enough. We're excited about capital, I know. So we have some operating. This is where we're at. At one point I wanted to talk is transit. Transit, that's not increasing any transit programs. The microtransit is that program that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Transit, it's just the operational increases, additional funding that we need for the current level of service that we have. In addition, talking about capital, it's that construction, management, scoping services. So that's where we'll get in more detail about that in Public Works. We'll talk about that at those meetings of trying to help. There's a lot of items on that list. Everyone's excited. Everyone wants things built. There's so much capacity we have in staffing to get everything done. So we're looking at how can we maximize a construction management to help us with some of those daily duties, checking on the project, how's that look, in addition to scoping some of those projects, being part of that, consulting of, hey, if we're doing a substation, we haven't built a substation before, what does that look like? Assist some of that workloads, trying to get some of those consulting to help out our capacity. So we'll talk about that more. Just wanted to highlight that and some of the, the excitement that we have going with our new projects. So overall, these are the FTE, supplies and services, and overall. And I guess, do you have any questions? The assistant director, just so you know, that is when Kristen was promoted to the public works director. That's backfilling that position that was vacated. So that's a new ad for that promotion. So just that, the only one that kind of looks weird there. Traffic signal, helping out with all those roads that we're adding. We need more people manage those traffic signals so they're all timed and working beautiful. So any questions on the operation portion?
Do we, I've got one, and Councilman Judd's got one too. The Traffic Control Center. Do we have somebody operating that, really looking at it?
We do.
We do, okay. My question is, do you separate out the counts east and west on Bell Road?
Yes.
You do? Okay, could I get them?
Okay, yes.
I'm really curious. Because I think most people are going east right now. And I think that will change with the shopping center opening at Waddell and 303 and some of the other developments going east.
Yes, definitely we can get you that information.
Because I've been querying people about where they go. It's amazing. Nobody goes west unless they're going to Costco or Sam's. That has gravity. But the rest of them are going east. I don't know where the heck they're going, but they're going. And you know the Litchfield Bell interchange. You know what goes on there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever watched it?
The 163rd one?
Have you ever watched it? How people turn into Panera?
Oh, yes.
And the traffic backs up almost all to Civic Center Drive, waiting, and people let you turn left in there. It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's one of our hot spots.
It is. It
It
definitely
really is. So, but you can get those
Yes.
counts east and west.
Yeah, we'll send it over to
Yeah,
you.
will you? I'm curious.
Wow.
Okay, thanks. Huh?
That's the way you said it, like, you really? Like she was kidding.
Well, I don't know. Nobody's ever shared that with us.
Yeah, and we're actually looking at being able to share real-time traffic for Bell Road.
Because, you know, people say,
yeah.
here's the thing, you hear it all the time. Bell Road is an absolute zoo. Okay, well, I drove in Southern California for 25 years. Now, compared to Southern California, this is nothing. Okay, so if you drive Beach Boulevard, now that's a zoo. That's 5 lanes both ways. This is only 3, Bell, okay? Anyway, but when I drill down and ask them where they're talking about, there's certain points of Bell Road. One of them is right by the Winco, okay? The other one is Litchfield and Bell. Those are, that's what they're complaining about.
Right.
The rest of Bell moves fine. It moves along fine, you know?
We'll continue to monitor that to see if there's ways that we can optimize those.
I don't know
signals.
what, I don't know what the answer
Right.
is, but not all of Bell is a disaster, okay? It really isn't. Bell moves along fine. And especially we got those interchangeable lights now, they're managed and all that kind of stuff, and the left-hand turn arrows.
Yep.
Huh? That stuff all moves traffic. But there's a couple of pinch
Couple of
points.
hot spots.
Yeah, really. Anyway, so, good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those numbers. That'll be interesting. Oh, look at the website, Mike? It's on the website? Both ways?
So we have annual traffic counts for our city that is shown on our website. However, we can get more real-time information for you as well.
Oh, good.
Along Bell Road.
Oh, super.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But as
good.
he said, there's a website that shows the annual traffic count. So we get those once a year at some of our bigger intersections, and it shows the different directions and what our average daily traffic is in that area.
In that area.
Mhm.
Okay,
Cool.
good.
Send me that website.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you just sent it to all
Thank
of
you,
us.
Mike.
Good, thank you. I mean, it sounds funny. I mean, why would a city councilman care about that kind of stuff? But I care.
No, it does.
Because
it does.
people,
Yeah.
because people ask me about traffic. What are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? You know?
And,
And
yeah.
I'm sure everybody else gets questions too. So we can't just say, I don't know, call the public works director.
Right.
You know,
So-
we've got to have
So
some
that's
sort
a
of
quick
intelligence.
way. That's a quick way to see what the traffic is. However, along Bell Road, we're looking at ways to be able to monitor it on a daily basis to see where we're seeing increases.
Yeah,
hmm
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, good job. The next huge challenge for us, as you know, is North Surprise.
Right.
There's going to be 2,000 homes under construction there in the next 18 months. I'm telling you.
That is a huge priority.
Yes, and now you got out of there pretty well the other day, 163rd.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I go up to Desert Oasis on a regular basis. So I go up 163rd and drop stuff off for the school there and come back down. And I can generally, 99% of the time, make it from Grand up 163rd and back in 45 minutes. So
And drop stuff off.
and drop stuff off and wave at the teachers and do all that kind of good stuff. So I don't know what the rest of those folks are doing, other than the fact that there is a window when there are school buses. But even with the school buses timing, we're talking about generally in and out. I make it on a regular basis.
Right. And there's
So-
certain times of the day around the 60 and the 303 where there's backups that we are
Yeah.
continuing to work with ADOT on.
But even
those.
with that,
Right.
but even with that, I generally don't have that terrible traffic. It's taking me forever to get up and down, even with the scallops that are there at the moment.
Yeah.
So with those things being improved, that'll be even better. And I know 163rd is probably an area that you
There is
have,
a big priority.
where you have a bunch of stuff for later's conversation. But
You
yeah,
don't-
I
you-
don't have that much trouble going up there, so.
You know, what would be another interesting thing to me, because I'm a geek that way, is Bullard Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mayor and Council, I think we're getting a little far
Afield?
afield for
Okay.
the topic that's been noticed, and I would hate for there to become a public meeting.
Well, we're talking about
open
roads, okay? So I disagree.
Okay,
I disagree with you, okay?
Okay.
And I'm gonna make my point,
all right,
and you're gonna be an attorney and make yours,
okay,
okay?
thank you.
All right. On Bullard Road, it's gonna be interesting to see the counts since Costco opened and people taking Bullard down to Waddell rather than Bell.
Yeah,
That's another thing.
absolutely.
And what did we do? We told the taxpayers that when we, in the bond, we did Greenway and Waddell, they would take pressure off Bell.
Yeah, so that's a great one. We can.
And I'd like to
research and
see,
look at
I'd
the
like to see that
history.
in numbers.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, so you can see 163rd, we got up there 3 times.
Okay.
We've got
is
lots
that
of
it?
stuff
Is there-
going.
Is there any
So,
more questions?
Any
for
other
Chris?
questions?
Councilman Judd?
Thank you, Mayor. Go forward a screen. Yeah, that one. You said the assistant director, Kristen was promoted from assistant director to director, so didn't that leave a vacancy that we already have an FTE for?
The current position was the dual fill of it. So it was DCM/director. So then when I guess org changes happened, it became the public works director. and
Okay,
she was
because
reclassified
Mike
into
had
it.
2 jobs.
Correct.
And then, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Good.
Yes, that's
Thank you.
exactly it. They're actually cleaning up after my mess. to get this taken care of. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, all right. Well, and that's it for the presentation. So thank you all for your questions and comments this evening. We will be back in 2 weeks. Yes, I'm excited for a walk-up song. Now, we'll talk about it. And we're gonna talk about capital. So I don't know what song we can find about
good.
capital projects.
I'll work on
We'll
it.
get those lists to you as soon as possible, and we'll continue to work on those based on your feedback.
Okay.
And thank you.
I really did try to talk
Thank you.
more than her this time.
Okay.
But I just
Never
couldn't
gonna
do it.
happen. Never gonna happen.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the workshop.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moving to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.